The mess hall at Camp Lejeune falls silent when Staff Sergeant Dylan Nash slams his palm against the metal serving counter. "Fresh meat thinks she can eat with the rest of us." 40 Marines turn their heads. Trays pause mid-air. Conversations die mid-sentence. Private First Class Avery Brooks stands at the end of the food line, her tray balanced in both hands. She is 34 years old, though her unmarked uniform suggests she is just another recruit, fresh from boot camp. Her hair is pulled back in a regulation bun. Her posture is straight, but not rigid. Her eyes take in the room with a single sweep that lingers on nothing and misses nothing. Nash pushes away from the counter and walks toward her. He is 32, built like a linebacker, with shoulders that block out the fluorescent lights above. His chevrons gleam on his sleeve. His boots strike the floor with deliberate weight. "I asked you a question, Private." Avery does not answer. She does not move. Her fingers remain steady on the edges of her tray. Nash stops 3 feet in front of her, close enough that she can smell the coffee on his breath, close enough that every Marine in the mess hall can see the size difference between them. "You deaf or just stupid?" The Marines at the nearest table shift in their seats. A young corporal with sandy hair looks down at his food. An older sergeant takes a sudden interest in his phone. No one speaks. No one intervenes. This is how it works here. Everyone knows it. Nash reaches out and flicks the edge of Avery's tray. The motion is casual, almost playful. But his eyes are not playful. His eyes are the eyes of a predator who has found easy prey. When I talk to you, you answer. When I tell you to jump, you ask how high. When I tell you to crawl, you get on your belly and you crawl. You understand me? Avery meets his gaze. Her expression does not change. Her voice is quiet but clear. "I understand, Staff Sergeant." "Good," Nash smiles. It does not reach his eyes. "Now let me tell you how things work around here. You are nothing. You are less than nothing. You are the dirt I scrape off my boots before inspection. And until I decide otherwise, you do not eat, you do not sleep, you do not breathe without my permission." He reaches out again. This time he does not flick the tray. He knocks it out of her hands. The crash echoes through the mess hall. Mashed potatoes and gravy splatter across the floor. The tray spins twice before clattering to a stop against a table leg. Avery looks down at the mess. Then she looks back up at Nash. "Pick it up," he says. She bends down. Her movements are controlled, economical. She retrieves the tray first, then begins scooping the scattered food back onto it with her bare hands. Nash watches her for a moment. Then he puts his boot on the edge of the tray, pinning it to the floor. "I said pick it up. I did not say stop." Avery's hands pause. Her eyes remain fixed on the floor. For a long moment, nothing moves. Then she continues cleaning, working around his boot, gathering every scrap of food within reach. Nash laughs. The sound is loud and harsh in the silent room. "Look at this. Look at your new sister-in-arms, Marines. This is what passes for a soldier these days. This is what they send us from boot camp." He leans down, putting his face close to hers. "You are pathetic. You know that? You are the most pathetic excuse for a Marine I have ever seen." Avery's hands stop moving. Her head turns slightly. Her lips move, forming words so quiet that only Nash can hear them. "You should stop now, before you destroy your own life." Nash's smile freezes. For just a fraction of a second, something flickers in his eyes. Confusion, maybe even a trace of unease. Then it is gone. "What did you say to me?" Avery says nothing. She resumes cleaning. Nash straightens up. His face has gone red. His hands have curled into fists at his sides. "You think you are clever? You think you can talk back to me?" He grabs her by the collar of her uniform and hauls her to her feet. The motion is violent, sudden. Her tray clatters to the floor again. "You are nothing," he snarls. "You hear me? Nothing." He shoves her backward, hard. Avery hits the floor. Her shoulder takes the impact first, then her hip. She rolls once and comes to rest on her back, staring up at the ceiling. The mess hall is frozen. 40 Marines, not one of them moving, not one of them speaking. Nash stands over her, breathing hard. His shadow falls across her face like a verdict. "Stay down there," he says. "Stay down there where you belong. And maybe, if you are lucky, I will let you eat tomorrow." He turns and walks away. His boots echo on the tile floor. The Marines at the nearest tables part to let him pass. their eyes carefully averted. Avery lies on the floor for a long moment. Her chest rises and falls with steady breaths. Her eyes track slowly across the ceiling, counting the tiles, noting the position of every camera, every light fixture, every exit. Then, very slowly, she pushes herself up onto her elbows. Her right hand moves to her wrist, to the plain black watch strapped there. Her thumb finds a small button on the side. She presses it once, briefly. The watch's display does not change, but somewhere in its memory, a recording has begun. Avery gets to her feet. She bends down, picks up her tray and walks to the trash receptacle. She scrapes the ruined food into the bin with careful, methodical movements. Then she walks back to the serving line and picks up a fresh tray. The Marines around her stare, some with pity, some with contempt, most with the blank expressions of people who have learned not to see what happens in this room. Avery does not look at any of them. She fills her tray with food, finds an empty table in the corner, and sits down to eat. Alone. Across the mess hall, Corporal Evan Vale watches her. He is 23, with a face that still carries the softness of youth, despite the uniform he wears. His fork has been suspended over his plate for nearly a minute. He saw everything, the tray, the shove, the fall. And he saw something else too, something that does not make sense. When that woman hit the floor, she did not land like a recruit who had never been hit before. She landed like someone who knew how to fall. Her shoulder absorbed the impact at exactly the right angle. Her body rolled with the momentum instead of against it. Her hands came up in a guard position for just a fraction of a second before she forced them back down to her sides. That was not the fall of a frightened private. That was the fall of someone with years of training. Evan's eyes follow her as she sits down at her table. She eats with the same careful, economical movements she used to clean the floor. No wasted motion, no nervous energy. Who is this woman? The question echoes in his mind as he watches her, and somewhere deep in his gut, a feeling begins to grow. The feeling that he has just witnessed the opening move in a game that no one else in this room understands. If you are tired of watching the powerful abuse their authority without consequences, hit that subscribe button right now, because this story is about to take a turn that no one in that mess hall saw coming. The sun has set over Camp Lejeune by the time Avery returns to her barracks. The building is old, utilitarian, with rows of bunks arranged in precise military order. Most of the other recruits are already asleep or pretending to be. Avery sits on the edge of her bunk and removes her watch. She plugs it into a small device hidden in her duffel bag, a device that looks like a portable charger but is something else entirely. The recording transfers in seconds. 47 minutes of audio, every word Nash said, every threat, every insult. She puts the watch back on and lies down on her bunk. Her eyes stare at the ceiling, but her mind is elsewhere. 3 days ago, she arrived at this base with a mission that began 6 months earlier when a young Marine named Private First Class Thomas Riley was found unconscious in the bathroom of this same barracks. His injuries were severe: internal bleeding, broken ribs, a concussion that kept him in the hospital for 2 weeks. The official report called it an accident, a fall in the shower. Thomas Riley's family knew better. His mother filed a complaint with the Inspector General's office. She included a letter her son had written 3 weeks before the incident, a letter that described systematic abuse, harassment, and violence, a letter that named Staff Sergeant Dylan Nash as the primary perpetrator. The complaint was assigned to Lieutenant Colonel Avery Brooks, 12 years with the Marine Corps, 8 of those years in military intelligence, 4 more with the Inspector General, a spotless record and a reputation for finding the truth no matter where it hid. But when Avery began her investigation, she found something unexpected. Every witness had changed their story. Every piece of physical evidence had disappeared. Every official who might have helped her suddenly became unavailable. Someone was covering up what happened to Thomas Riley. Someone with enough power to make an entire base go silent. So, Avery made a decision. If she could not investigate from the outside, she would investigate from the inside. She called in favors, pulled strings, created a paper trail that showed a newly transferred private first class named Brooks, assigned to Camp Lejeune for administrative support duties. No one questioned it. No one looked too closely at the 34-year-old recruit who seemed a little too old for her rank. And now she is here, in the belly of the beast, watching and recording and waiting. Avery closes her eyes. Tomorrow she will begin the next phase of her investigation. Tonight she will rest. But even as she drifts towards sleep, her mind continues working, cataloging faces, analyzing patterns, building a case that no one will be able to bury. The morning comes with a bugle call at 0500. Avery is already awake, already dressed, already standing at attention by the time the other recruits stumble out of their bunks. The day begins with physical training. Push-ups, sit-ups, running, the usual routine. Nash is not there. His domain is the mess hall and the supply warehouse, not the training fields. But his influence is everywhere. The drill instructor gives Avery extra attention, extra push-ups, extra running, extra everything. Her form is critiqued more harshly than anyone else's. Her times are never fast enough. Her effort is never sufficient. She takes it all without complaint, without explanation, without letting any sign of her true capabilities show. By the time breakfast arrives, she is covered in sweat and dust. Her muscles ache, her lungs burn, but her eyes remain calm and alert as she walks into the mess hall. Nash is there, standing by the serving line like a toll collector on a medieval bridge. He watches her approach with a smile that promises nothing good. Well, look who decided to come back for more. Avery picks up a tray. She does not respond. I thought maybe you learned your lesson yesterday, but I guess some people are just slow learners. Nash steps closer. Tell you what, since you are new here, I am going to give you a special opportunity. You can eat breakfast today. But first, you are going to get on your knees and thank me for my generosity. The mess hall goes quiet again. The same Marines at the same tables, watching with the same carefully blank expressions. Avery sets her tray down on the counter. She looks at Nash directly for the first time since yesterday. No. The word hangs in the air like a grenade with the pin pulled. Nash's smile disappears. His face goes red, then pale, then red again. What did you say to me? I said no. I will not kneel. I will not thank you. I will eat my breakfast and report for duty like every other Marine on this base. For a long moment, nobody moves, nobody breathes. Then Nash laughs. But this time, the sound is different, harder, more dangerous. You have got spine, Private. I will give you that. Too bad it is going to get you killed. He leans in close. You have no idea who you are dealing with. No idea what I can do to you. No idea how bad things can get. Avery does not flinch, does not step back, does not look away. Then show me. The challenge lands like a slap. Nash's hands twitch at his sides. For just a moment, it looks like he might strike her right there in front of everyone, but he does not. Instead, he takes a step back. His smile returns, but it is the smile of a man who has just decided to make someone's life a living nightmare. All right, Private, you want to play it that way? Fine, we will play it that way. He turns to the mess hall at large. You all heard her. She wants to see how bad things can get. So, let us show her. He walks away without another word. But his meaning is clear. The isolation begins immediately. At breakfast, no one sits within 3 tables of Avery. At training, no one speaks to her unless absolutely necessary. At lunch, she finds her locker emptied and her personal items scattered across the floor of the barracks. She cleans up the mess without comment, replaces her belongings in their proper places, continues her routine as if nothing has happened. But she is watching, always watching, and recording. By dinner time, the Whisper Network has done its work. Everyone on base knows that Private Brooks defied Staff Sergeant Nash. Everyone knows that she is marked. Everyone knows that getting close to her is the fastest way to end up on Nash's list. Avery eats alone, again. But this time, someone approaches. Corporal Evan Vale sets his tray down across from her without asking permission. His face is pale and his hands are not quite steady, but his voice is firm when he speaks. Mind if I sit here? Avery looks at him, really looks at him, for the first time since she arrived. He is young, too young for the shadows under his eyes, too young for the tension in his shoulders, too young for the fear that flickers behind his attempted smile. You know what sitting here means, she says. I know. Then why are you doing it? Evan is quiet for a moment. His eyes drop to his food, then rise again to meet hers. Because someone has to. The words are simple, but they carry weight. The weight of conscience, the weight of courage. Avery nods once, slowly. Sit. They eat in silence for several minutes. Around them, the mess hall buzzes with conversation that carefully avoids their corner. Marines glance in their direction and quickly look away. Finally, Evan speaks again. His voice is low, pitched not to carry. You are not what you seem, are you? Avery's fork pauses over her plate, just for a fraction of a second. What makes you say that? The way you fell yesterday, the way you got back up, the way you looked at Nash when he was screaming in your face. Evan shakes his head slowly. Recruits do not move like that. They do not look like that. They do not talk like that. Avery considers him for a long moment. Then she resumes eating. You see a lot, Corporal. I try. And what do you think you see? Evan leans forward slightly. His voice drops even lower. I think I see someone who is here for a reason that has nothing to do with administrative support duties. He pauses. I think I see someone who knows exactly what she is doing. Avery sets down her fork. She folds her hands on the table in front of her. That is a dangerous thing to say out loud. I know. If Nash heard you talking like this, Nash is not here right now. Evan's jaw tightens. And even if he was, I am done being afraid. I am done watching him hurt people and pretending I do not see it. I am done. Something shifts in Avery's expression, a subtle warming around the edges. You mentioned someone before, someone who got hurt. Evan nods, his eyes darken with memory. Tommy Riley, good kid. Best friend I made in this unit. Nash went after him for weeks, PT until he collapsed, extra duties that kept him awake for days, public humiliation in the mess hall, just like what he did to you. His voice catches. And then one night, Tommy ended up in the hospital. They said he slipped in the shower, but I saw the bruises on his ribs. I saw the pattern. You did not report it? The question is gentle, but it strikes deep. Evan flinches. I tried. I went to Captain Hayes, told him everything I saw. You know what he said? Evan's hands curl into fists on the table. He said I must have been mistaken. He said Nash was a good sergeant with an excellent record. He said Tommy's injuries were consistent with an accidental fall. And then he said that if I kept spreading rumors, there would be consequences for my career. Avery absorbs this information without visible reaction. But inside, another piece of the puzzle clicks into place. Captain Hayes, the commanding officer of this unit, the man who was supposed to protect his Marines from exactly this kind of abuse. And instead, he is covering it up. So, you stopped pushing, she says. I stopped pushing. Evan's voice is hollow with self-recrimination. Tommy got shipped to a medical facility on the East Coast. Last I heard, he was discharged on a medical. His career is over. His life is never going to be the same. And I just let it happen. You were afraid. I was a coward. Avery shakes her head. Fear does not make you a coward. Sitting at this table right now, knowing what it might cost you, that takes courage. Evan looks at her, really looks at her. Who are you? He asks again. What are you really doing here? Avery holds his gaze for a long moment. Then she picks up her fork and resumes eating. Keep watching, Corporal. Keep your head down and your eyes open. And when the time comes, be ready to tell the truth. It is not an answer, but somehow it is enough. The next 3 days pass in a haze of harassment and isolation. Nash's campaign against Avery intensifies with each passing hour. Her equipment goes missing during training exercises. Her locker is vandalized again and again. Her name appears on every unpleasant duty roster, from latrine cleaning to overnight guard shifts in the rain. Through it all, Avery endures. She does not complain. She does not retaliate. She does not give Nash the satisfaction of seeing her break. But she is not passive. Every night, she reviews her recordings. Every day, she gathers new evidence. And slowly, piece by piece, a picture begins to emerge. Nash is not just a bully. He is a businessman. The supply warehouse that he oversees is the hub of a corruption network that stretches far beyond the mess hall. Food shipments arrive on one manifest and disappear on another. Equipment meant for training exercises ends up in private hands. And the money flows through a web of fake invoices and shell companies that all trace back to one name, Cal Wentz. Avery recognizes the name from her preliminary research. Wentz is a civilian contractor who supplies food and equipment to military installations across the eastern seaboard. His company has held lucrative government contracts for over a decade. His reputation is spotless, but his records tell a different story. Avery spends 3 nights cross-referencing supply manifests with delivery logs. The discrepancies are systematic. Thousands of dollars in food and equipment, diverted and resold. Marines eating substandard rations while the good stuff disappears out the back door. and Captain Hayes signs every requisition form. The connection is clear. Hayes is not just covering up Nash's abuse. He is profiting from it. Nash keeps the enlisted men in line, prevents anyone from asking questions, while Hayes and Wentz skim money off the top. It is a perfect system, a system built on fear and silence, a system that is about to come crashing down. On the fourth day, everything changes. The unit is scheduled for a live-fire training exercise. Standard procedure, room-clearing drills with blank ammunition and smoke grenades. Avery knows something is wrong the moment she arrives at the training facility. The smoke grenades look off. The color is slightly faded. The manufacturing dates on the canisters are obscured. She does not have time to investigate further before the exercise begins. But she makes a mental note, files it away with all the other pieces of evidence she has gathered. The drill starts normally. Teams move through the facility, clearing rooms, calling out targets. The blank rounds crack through the air with their distinctive sound. The smoke fills the corridors with their gray haze. Then, in the third room, something goes wrong. The smoke grenade deployed by the lead team does not behave like it should. Instead of producing a standard screening cloud, it erupts with a thick, acrid vapor that immediately causes coughing and eye irritation. Within seconds, the Marines in the room are struggling to breathe. Within a minute, 2 of them have collapsed. Chaos erupts. Orders are shouted. Bodies push toward exits that are suddenly too far away. Avery does not panic. She does not freeze. She acts. Her voice cuts through the confusion like a blade through cloth. Everyone out, now. Move toward the east exit. Cover your mouths with your sleeves. Do not run. Walk fast and steady. The Marines respond instinctively. Training kicks in. They follow her directions without questioning who is giving them. Avery pushes toward the center of the room, toward the 2 fallen Marines. The smoke is thicker here, more toxic. Her eyes water, her lungs burn, but she keeps moving. She reaches the first Marine and hooks her arms under his shoulders, drags him toward the door with a strength that should not belong to a recruit in her first week of duty. Then she goes back for the second one. By the time she emerges from the building, dragging the unconscious Marine behind her, the training area is swarming with medics and officers. Someone takes the Marine from her arms. Someone else is shouting about an investigation. Avery leans against the wall of the building, coughing, her lungs on fire, her eyes streaming. And through the chaos, she sees Nash. He is standing at the edge of the crowd, watching her. His face is pale. His eyes are wide. He saw what she did in there. He saw her take command. He saw her move with the speed and precision of someone who has done this before, many times, under far worse circumstances. For the first time since she arrived, he looks afraid. Someone tried to turn a training exercise into a death trap. Drop a comment below. Who do you think is really behind this? The answer might surprise you. The investigation into the smoke grenade incident is swift and superficial. Captain Hayes takes personal charge of the inquiry. Within 24 hours, he announces that the faulty grenades were the result of a shipping error. A simple mistake. No one is at fault. The 2 Marines who collapsed are treated and released. The training exercise is rescheduled. Life on base returns to normal. But Avery knows better. She saw the grenades before the exercise. She saw the faded labels, the obscured dates. Those were not grenades that arrived by accident. Those were grenades that were placed deliberately. Someone wanted that exercise to go wrong. Someone wanted Marines to get hurt. The question is why. And the question is who. Avery spends the next night reviewing everything she knows. The corruption network, the supply chain fraud, Nash and Hayes and Wentz. And then she sees it. The smoke grenades that malfunctioned were part of a shipment that arrived 3 days ago. A shipment that came from Cal Wentz's company. A shipment that was supposed to contain standard training equipment. But somewhere between the warehouse and the training facility, the grenades were switched. The originals disappeared. Expired, potentially dangerous replacements took their place. It was not an accident. It was a cover-up. Someone knew that Avery was getting close. Someone knew that the supply chain fraud was about to be exposed. And someone decided that a training accident would be the perfect distraction. A distraction that almost killed 2 Marines. Avery's jaw tightens as she stares at her evidence. The pieces are all there. The picture is almost complete, but she needs more. She needs direct proof of the connection between Nash, Hayes, and Wentz. She needs someone to break, and she knows exactly where to start. The supply warehouse sits at the edge of the base, a long, low building that smells of cardboard and motor oil. At 200 hours, it should be empty. But Avery knows better. She approaches from the shadows, moving with the silence of long practice. Her recorder is running. Her eyes are sharp. And then she hears them. Two voices. One she recognizes immediately. Nash. "I did not sign up for this." Nash's voice is high, strained. "The smoke grenades were supposed to be a distraction, not a death trap. 2 Marines could have died in there. But they did not." The second voice is calm, measured. An older man. "Thanks to that recruit you have been harassing, which brings me to another point. You were supposed to keep her contained. Instead, she is out there playing hero. You do not understand. She is not normal. The way she moved in that building, the way she gave orders, she is not what she seems. Then find out what she is, before she finds out what we are." Avery presses herself against the wall of the warehouse, barely breathing. The second voice belongs to Cal Wentz. She is sure of it. And now she has them, both of them, on tape. "This is getting out of control," Nash says. "Hayes is losing his nerve. The investigation is supposed to be closed, but people are asking questions. If this goes any higher, it will not." Wentz's voice hardens. "Because you are going to make sure of that. You are going to do whatever it takes to keep that recruit quiet. And if you cannot handle her, I will find someone who can." A long silence. Then Nash speaks again, and his voice is different now, smaller, more desperate. "You do not understand what you are asking me to do. My father, the debts. I never wanted any of this. I just needed the money. I needed to save him. Your father made his choices. Now you make yours." Wentz's tone allows for no argument. "Tomorrow night, there is another shipment coming in. Premium equipment, already sold to buyers off base. You make sure it disappears without any complications. And you make sure that recruit does not interfere. Are we clear?" Another silence. Then, finally, "We are clear." Footsteps. A door opening and closing. Then nothing. Avery remains motionless for a full minute after the voices fade. Her heart pounds in her chest. Her mind races through implications. She has it. She has everything she needs. The corruption, the fraud, the attempted cover-up that nearly killed 2 Marines. And now, proof of another shipment. Another crime in progress. All she has to do is let it happen. Let Nash and Wentz incriminate themselves one more time. And then bring the whole operation crashing down. But first, she needs backup. The next morning, Avery finds Evan Vale at breakfast. She sits down across from him without preamble. "Tonight," she says quietly, "I need you to be ready." Evan looks at her sharply. "Ready for what?" "To tell the truth. Everything you saw, everything you know about Nash and Tommy Riley, and what really happens on this base." "Why tonight?" Avery's eyes hold his. "Because tonight, it all comes to an end." Something shifts in Evan's face. Understanding dawns. "You are going to expose them. I am going to expose everything, but I cannot do it alone. I need witnesses, people who are willing to speak up, no matter what it costs them." Evan is quiet for a long moment. His hands rest flat on the table. His jaw works silently. Then he nods. "I am in. Whatever you need." Avery allows herself a small smile, the first one she has shown since arriving at this base. "Good. Stay close to the training facility tonight. And when you see the signal, come running." "What signal?" "You will know it when you see it." The day passes slowly. Avery goes through brief motions of her duties, but her mind is elsewhere, planning, preparing. At 1800 hours, she returns to her barracks. She removes her watch and connects it to her hidden device. The recordings transfer, every conversation, every admission, every damning word. Then she takes out a small satellite phone she has kept hidden in the lining of her duffel bag. She dials a number from memory. "This is Lieutenant Colonel Brooks," she says when the call connects. "Authorization code Tango 779er. I need a tactical response team at Camp Lejeune. Tonight, 2200 hours." The voice on the other end asks no questions. Confirmation comes within seconds. Avery ends the call. She puts the phone away. She checks her watch. 4 hours until everything changes. The supply warehouse is dark when Avery arrives at 2100 hours. She takes up position in the shadows, watching and waiting. At 2130, a truck arrives. No headlights, no markings. Nash emerges from the warehouse to meet it. He is accompanied by two other Marines whose faces Avery recognizes from the mess hall. Men who have participated in the harassment. Men who are clearly part of the network. The truck's rear doors open. Crates begin to move. Equipment that should be going to Marine training exercises, instead heading for private buyers. Avery waits until the last crate is loaded, until Nash signs the paperwork, until the evidence is complete and irrefutable. Then she steps out of the shadows. "Staff Sergeant Nash!" Her voice carries across the loading dock like a thunderclap. Nash spins. His face goes white. "You." "Me." Avery walks toward him. Her stride is unhurried. Her expression is calm. "We need to talk about what happens next." Nash's companions move to flank her, but she holds up a hand. "I would not do that if I were you. There are approximately 30 seconds until this area is surrounded by military police. You can spend that time trying to fight your way out. Or you can spend it making a decision that might save what is left of your career. You are bluffing." But Nash's voice wavers. "Am I?" As if on cue, headlights appear at the entrance to the loading dock. Vehicle engines roar. Doors slam. "Military police! Nobody move!" The loading dock floods with light and uniforms. Nash's companions freeze, hands raised. The truck driver makes a break for it and is tackled within 3 steps. Nash stands paralyzed, staring at Avery. "Who are you?" he whispers. Avery reaches into her pocket. She pulls out a badge that gleams in the harsh lights. "Lieutenant Colonel Avery Brooks, Inspector General's office." She lets that sink in for a moment. "And as of next week, the new commanding officer of this battalion." The words hit Nash like physical blows. His face cycles through shock, disbelief, and finally, horror. The woman he shoved to the floor. The woman he humiliated in front of the entire mess hall. The woman he tried to break. She outranks everyone on this base. "You have a choice," Avery says. "Right now, right here, you can go down for everything. The fraud, the abuse, the smoke grenade incident, or you can cooperate. Tell us everything about Wentz and Hayes. Help us dismantle the entire network." Nash's mouth opens and closes. No sound comes out. "Your father's debts," Avery continues. "I know about them. I know Wentz used them as leverage. That does not excuse what you did, but it explains it. And if you cooperate fully, I will make sure the military court knows the circumstances." Tears are forming in Nash's eyes. His whole body is shaking. "I never wanted—" His voice breaks. "I never wanted any of this. I just needed the money. I just needed to help him." "Then help yourself now." Avery's voice softens slightly. "Tell the truth. All of it. It is the only way forward." Nash looks around. At the military police, at the handcuffs being snapped onto his companion's wrists, at the truck full of stolen equipment that will never reach its destination. And then he looks back at Avery. "Okay," he says. "Okay, I will tell you everything." The aftermath unfolds quickly. Captain Hayes is arrested at his quarters, still in his undershirt, his face a mask of disbelief. Cal Wentz is taken into custody at his hotel room off base, surrounded by documents that link him to supply chain fraud across 6 military installations. The supply warehouse is sealed, the evidence is cataloged, the investigation that has been stalled for months suddenly has everything it needs. And through it all, Avery stands at the center, directing operations with the calm efficiency of someone who has done this many times before. Dawn is breaking when Evan Vale finds her outside the warehouse. His face is a mixture of awe and exhaustion. "You did it," he says. Avery shakes her head. "We did it. You and every other Marine who was willing to tell the truth. But the recordings, the investigation, the timing..." Evan shakes his head slowly. "That was all you. Who planned something like that? Someone who has seen too many good soldiers suffer because no one would listen." Avery's gaze drifts to the horizon, where the sun is painting the sky in shades of gold and rose. Someone who knows that the only way to fix a broken system is to see it from the inside. "And next week, when you take command," Avery turns to face him directly. "Next week, things change around here. No more fear, no more silence, no more Marines eating substandard food or getting beaten in bathrooms while everyone looks the other way." Her jaw sets with determination. This base is going to be what it should have been all along, a place where people protect each other. But even as the words leave her mouth, Avery knows that the victory is not complete, because there is still one question that has not been answered: the smoke grenades, the ones that nearly killed 2 Marines. Wentz arranged the shipment. Nash handled the warehouse. But who actually made the switch? Who knew exactly when and where to strike? Someone else is involved. Someone who has not been caught yet. Avery thinks about the recordings she made, the conversation between Nash and Wentz, and she realizes that she missed something. Wentz said that if Nash could not handle the situation, he would find someone who could. Who was he going to find? The question gnaws at her as the sun rises higher and the loading dock empties, as the military police drive away with their prisoners, as the evidence is sealed and transported. Someone else is out there, someone who has not been exposed, and Avery has a feeling that she has not seen the last of them. Back in her barracks, as she finally allows herself to rest, Avery checks her secure communication device one last time. A message is waiting, encrypted, from an unknown sender. She decrypts it and reads the contents. 3 words. Wentz was Layer 1, and below that, a signature she does not recognize. Tower 4 sends regards. The message glows on Avery's screen in the darkness of the barracks. Wentz was Layer 1, and below that, 3 words that change everything. Tower 4 sends regards. She stares at the encrypted text for a long moment. The sender is unknown. The routing is untraceable, but whoever sent this knows about her investigation, knows about the smoke grenade incident, knows that the arrests have not happened yet. Avery saves the message and powers down the device. There will be time to trace its origin later. Right now, she has 30 minutes. 30 minutes before Cal Wentz boards a flight out of Jacksonville. 30 minutes before 18 months of evidence disappears forever. She checks her watch. 29 minutes now. The clock is running. Avery moves through the base with purpose, her torn sleeve flapping against her arm. The fabric ripped during the smoke grenade rescue, and she has not had time to change. The medics wanted to examine her for smoke inhalation. She refused. There is no time. She finds Nash in the detention holding area, seated on a metal bench with his head in his hands. 2 MPs stand guard outside the door. "I need him," Avery says. The MPs exchange glances. "Ma'am, he is being held pending. I know what he is being held for. I am the one who had him detained." Avery's voice cuts like steel. "Now I need him for the next 27 minutes. You can document my authorization under Inspector General Protocols, Section 14, Subsection C, Temporary Release for Evidentiary Assistance." The MPs hesitate. Then one of them unlocks the door. Nash looks up as Avery enters. His face is pale, his eyes red-rimmed. The swagger that defined him in the mess hall has completely evaporated. "You," he says. "Me." Avery stands over him. "You have a choice to make, right now, in the next 10 seconds. "What choice?" Wentz is leaving the country in 26 minutes. His flight departs Jacksonville at 1945. Once he is gone, the evidence in that warehouse goes with him. The financial records, the shipping manifests, everything that proves what you did and why. Nash's jaw tightens. So, you can sit here and wait for your court-martial. Let Wentz escape. Let Hayes claim he knew nothing. Let everyone believe you were the mastermind instead of the victim." Avery leans closer. "Or you can help me stop him. Show me where he keeps the records he does not want anyone to find. Help me bring down the people who turned you into this." Nash stares at her. "Why would you help me, after everything I did to you?" "I am not helping you. I am giving you a chance to help yourself." Avery's eyes bore into his. "You told me once that you never had a choice, that Wentz forced you into this. Prove it. Show me that somewhere underneath the bully, there is still a Marine who knows right from wrong." The silence stretches between them. 24 minutes. Nash stands slowly. "There is a hidden compartment," he says, "behind the refrigeration units in the warehouse. Climate-controlled. Wentz thinks no one knows about it, but I saw him access it once when he wanted to remind me who was in charge. Show me." They move through the home base at double time, Avery in front, Nash behind, 2 MPs flanking them. The sun has begun to set, casting long shadows across the parade ground. 21 minutes. The warehouse looms ahead, sealed with evidence tape from the smoke grenade investigation. Avery tears through the tape without breaking stride. Inside, the air is cold and stale. Crates line the walls. The loading dock sits empty. "Where?" Avery demands. Nash leads her through the maze of supplies to the back of the warehouse. A bank of industrial refrigeration units hums against the far wall. 3rd panel from the left. Nash points to a seam barely visible in the dim light. "Press the bolt at the top, the one that looks slightly different from the others." Avery finds it, presses. A section of wall swings inward, revealing a hidden compartment 3 feet deep. Metal shelving holds rows of files, hard drives, and sealed document cases. 18 minutes. Avery begins photographing everything. Her phone camera clicks rapidly as she documents each shelf, each file, each piece of evidence. There is more. Nash reaches past her to the back of the top shelf. He pulls out a slim leather folder. His insurance policy. Photographs of everyone he has ever paid off. Military officers, contractors, government officials. Avery opens the folder. Dozens of surveillance images stare back at her. Faces she recognizes. Faces she does not. Each annotated with names, dates, payment amounts. This is enough to bring down half the supply chain command, she breathes. That was the point. Nash's voice is hollow. He showed it to me once. Told me that if anyone ever tried to expose him, he would take them all with him. That is why no one ever talked. Everyone was too afraid. 15 minutes. Avery's secure device buzzes. She checks the screen. A message from base operations. Wentz's vehicle has been spotted heading for the main gate. He is running. Avery turns to the MPs. Contact the gate. No one leaves this base until I give authorization. Inspector General override, code 779er. One MP speaks rapidly into his radio. 12 minutes. Avery gathers the most critical files and the leather folder. She turns to Nash. You are coming with me. Where? To finish this. The parade ground is chaos when they arrive. Word has spread through the base like wildfire. Marines have gathered in clusters, watching as military police vehicles converge on the main gate. Floodlights snap on, bathing the area in harsh white light. At the center of it all, a black SUV sits idling near the gate checkpoint. Cal Wentz stands beside it, arguing with the MPs who have blocked his exit. This is outrageous, Wentz is shouting. I am a civilian contractor with full security clearance. You have no authority to detain me. Actually, Avery says, stepping into the light, they have every authority because I gave it to them. Wentz turns. His face cycles through surprise, recognition, and then a cold, calculating smile. The new recruit. He looks her up and down, noting the torn sleeve, the dust on her uniform, the insignia that does not match her apparent rank. Or should I say the Inspector General's pet project? Lieutenant Colonel Avery Brooks. Avery holds up her credentials. Inspector General's office. And as of next week, commanding officer of this battalion. The murmur that runs through the crowd is audible. Marines who witnessed her humiliation in the mess hall. Marines who watched Nash shove her to the ground. Marines who are now realizing that the woman they saw lying on the floor outranks everyone on this base. 8 minutes until Wentz's flight. Not that he is making that flight. You have no evidence, Wentz says smoothly. Whatever Nash told you is the word of a desperate man trying to save himself. It will never hold up. You are right, Avery gestures, and an MP brings forward the files from the warehouse. His word alone would not be enough, but this might help. She holds up the leather folder. Wentz's composure cracks, just for a moment, just enough. That is private property, obtained illegally. Any court will throw it out. Perhaps, but the financial records in your hidden compartment were obtained under a valid Inspector General warrant. The photographs are just context. Avery opens the folder and removes one image. Interesting company you keep, Mr. Wentz. Is that a 2-star general accepting an envelope in a parking garage? The crowd has grown larger. Officers have joined the enlisted personnel, drawn by the commotion. Colonel Webb from JAG, the base XO, dozens of others, all of them watching, all of them seeing. Wentz's eyes dart around, calculating escape routes, finding none. I want my lawyer. You will have one, after you are processed. Avery nods to the MPs. Take him into custody. Charges include fraud, conspiracy, and endangerment of military personnel. Federal authorities have been notified. As the MPs move forward, Wentz plays his final card. You think this ends with me? His voice rises, carrying across the parade ground. I am nothing, a middle manager. The people above me will bury this investigation so deep it will never see daylight. You have no idea what you are dealing with. Then educate me. Avery steps closer. Tell me who is above you. Give me names, and maybe the federal prosecutor will consider that when determining your sentence. Wentz laughs. The sound is bitter, defeated. You really do not understand, do you? There is no top, no single person pulling strings. It is a system, a network, and it has been operating longer than you have been alive. He leans closer, his voice dropping to a whisper that only she can hear. Tower 4 sends regards, Colonel. They are already watching you. The words hit like ice water. Avery does not let her expression change. Take him, she says. The MPs lead Wentz away. The crowd begins to disperse. The crisis is over, but Avery remains rooted in place, Wentz's words echoing in her mind. Tower 4. The same designation from the encrypted message. Someone else is playing a game she does not yet understand. Captain Hayes is arrested 30 minutes later at his quarters. He comes quietly, his face a mask of resignation. Whatever fight he had left died when he saw Wentz in handcuffs. The evidence processing takes most of the night. Files are cataloged, hard drives are secured. The insurance folder is photographed, page by page, each image uploaded to secure servers beyond the reach of anyone who might want them destroyed. By dawn, the scope of the conspiracy has begun to emerge. 6 military installations compromised, millions of dollars diverted, a network of corruption spanning nearly 2 decades, and somewhere at the center, a presence that calls itself Tower 4. But that is a problem for another day. Right now, there is something else that needs to happen. The sun has risen over Camp Lejeune when Avery walks to the detention facility. Nash is where she left him, seated on the metal bench, staring at nothing. It is done, she says. Wentz is in federal custody. Hayes is awaiting transfer. The evidence is secured. Nash nods slowly. What happens now, to me? That depends. Avery sits down across from him. You have a choice to make. Another one? The last one. She leans forward. You can plead guilty, take whatever sentence the court-martial hands down, and spend the next several years in Leavenworth. Or you can cooperate fully, testify against Wentz and Hayes, help us identify everyone in the network. And if I cooperate, I will recommend leniency, not freedom. You do not deserve that, but the court will know the circumstances, the pressure Wentz put on you, the threats against your father. Avery's voice softens slightly. It does not excuse what you did. Nothing can excuse that, but it explains it, and explanation matters. Nash is quiet for a long moment. Why are you doing this? He asks finally. Giving me a chance, after everything. Avery considers the question. Because I have seen what happens when the system crushes people without understanding why they broke. Because punishment without context is just revenge. And because somewhere underneath all the cruelty you showed, I believe there is a Marine who lost his way and wants to find it again. She stands. I am not forgiving you, Staff Sergeant. The people you hurt will never get those days back. Tommy Riley will never get his career back, but I am giving you an opportunity to be something other than the worst thing you ever did. Nash looks up at her. Tears are forming in his eyes. I will testify. Everything I know, everyone I saw, every transaction, every conversation, every crime. His voice breaks. It is not enough. It will never be enough, but it is all I have. Then let us start there. The formal hearing convenes at 0900. The base commander's conference room has been converted into a tribunal space. Folding chairs line the walls. A long table dominates the front where the presiding officers sit. Avery enters through a side door. Her uniform is fresh, her rank insignia displayed openly for the first time since she arrived at Camp Lejeune. Lieutenant Colonel, Inspector General, the woman who spent a week pretending to be nothing. The room falls silent as she takes her seat. Nash is brought in moments later, escorted by MPs. He walks with his head bowed, his shoulders curved inward. When he passes Avery's table, their eyes meet briefly. She nods once, almost imperceptibly. He continues to his seat. Colonel Webb calls the proceedings to order. We are convened to review preliminary findings in the matter of supply chain fraud, endangerment of military personnel, and conduct unbecoming at Camp Lejeune. Lieutenant Colonel Brooks, present your evidence. Avery stands. Over the past 9 days, I conducted an undercover investigation into allegations of systematic abuse and corruption at this installation. She walks to the center of the room. What I discovered was a conspiracy spanning 18 months, involving the deliberate diversion of military supplies, the systematic harassment of junior personnel to maintain silence, and ultimately the sabotage of training equipment that nearly killed 2 Marines. She presents the evidence methodically, financial records, testimony, the photographs from Wentz's insurance folder, each piece building on the last, constructing an irrefutable case. When she finishes, Colonel Webb turns to Nash. Staff Sergeant, do you wish to make a statement? Nash rises. His voice is steady but raw. "Everything Lieutenant Colonel Brooks said is true. I participated in the fraud. I harassed junior Marines. I helped cover up crimes." He pauses. 3 years ago, my father accumulated gambling debts. Dangerous debts. Wentz discovered this and offered me a deal. Help him move supplies off base and the debts would disappear. Keep the junior Marines quiet and my father would stay safe. He looks around the room. I told myself I had no choice, that I was protecting my family. But that was a lie. There is always a choice. I made the wrong one, over and over again. His voice breaks. I am prepared to provide complete testimony against everyone involved, every name I know, every transaction I witnessed, every crime I helped commit. He turns to face the gallery. And I am sorry for Tommy Riley, for everyone I hurt, for becoming something I swore I would never be. The room is silent. Then Nash does something unexpected. He walks past the MPs, past the presiding officers, into the center of the room where everyone can see him, and he drops to his knees. "I am sorry," he says again, his voice carrying to every corner of the silent space. "I am sorry for every meal I ruined, every recruit I terrorized, every Marine I made feel worthless so I could feel powerful." Tears stream down his face. "I was given authority and I abused it. I was given trust and I betrayed it. I was given the uniform of a United States Marine and I disgraced it." His head bows. "I do not ask for forgiveness. I do not deserve it. But I needed you all to know that I see now. I see what I became. And I will spend the rest of my life trying to be something better." No one moves. Avery watches him for a long moment. Then she stands and walks to where he kneels. "Stand up, Staff Sergeant." Nash does not move. "Stand up!" Slowly, painfully, he rises to his feet. His face is streaked with tears. His body is shaking. Avery's voice is quiet but clear. "An apology does not erase what you did. It does not heal the people you hurt. It does not bring back the careers you destroyed." She pauses. "But it is the first step on a very long road." She turns to address the room. "I came to this base because a young Marine named Thomas Riley was beaten so badly that his career ended. The official report called it an accident. His family knew better. They filed a complaint. That complaint landed on my desk." Her eyes sweep across the assembled faces. "I could have investigated from the outside, sent formal requests, waited for official channels. But I knew what would happen. Evidence would disappear. Witnesses would change their stories. The truth would be buried under paperwork and procedure." She straightens. "So, I made a different choice. I came here as a private, ate in the mess hall, slept in the barracks, let myself be humiliated in front of the people I would eventually command." Her jaw tightens. "I needed to see it with my own eyes. Who participated? Who watched? Who stayed silent? Because you cannot fix a system until you understand exactly how it is broken." She looks at Nash. "I needed to see who you really were. Not the bully in the mess hall, the man underneath, the man who was being crushed just as surely as the people he was crushing." Her voice softens. "That does not excuse what you did, but it explains why. And understanding why is the first step toward making sure it never happens again." Colonel Webb clears his throat. "Lieutenant Colonel Brooks, do you have any final recommendations?" "Yes, sir." Avery faces the presiding table. "I recommend court-martial proceedings for Staff Sergeant Nash and Captain Hayes on charges of fraud, conspiracy, and conduct unbecoming. I recommend that federal authorities pursue maximum charges against Calvin Wentz. And I recommend a full investigation into the network revealed by the evidence we have collected." She pauses. "I also recommend that the court consider Staff Sergeant Nash's cooperation and his circumstances when determining his sentence. He was wrong, but he was also a victim. Both things can be true." Colonel Webb nods slowly. "So noted. This hearing is adjourned pending formal charges." The mess hall is empty when Avery enters that evening. The dinner service has ended. The tables are clean. The serving line is dark. She walks slowly through the space, her footsteps echoing in the silence. Past the tables where Marines ate in fear. Past the counter where Nash held court. Past the corner where she sat alone while everyone pretended not to see. She stops at the exact spot where her tray hit the floor. The tile has been cleaned. No trace remains of the mashed potatoes and gravy that splattered across it 9 days ago. But She remembers every detail, the crash, the laughter, the feeling of lying on cold tile while dozens of people watched and did nothing. Avery picks up a tray from the stack near the serving line. She carries it to that spot, and she sets it down on the floor. Then she picks it up again, slowly, deliberately. The same motion she made that day when Nash was standing over her and the whole mess hall was watching. She carries the tray to the nearest table and places it gently on the surface. "Ma'am?" Avery turns. A food service worker stands in the kitchen doorway, looking confused. "Just remembering," Avery says. "Just making sure I never forget." She walks out of the mess hall without looking back. The command ceremony takes place 5 days later. The parade ground is filled with Marines in dress uniforms, standing in precise formation under a cloudless sky. Flags snap in the breeze. The bass band plays. Everything is exactly as military tradition demands. Avery stands at the front of the formation, facing the outgoing commander. The battalion colors pass from his hands to hers. The fabric is heavy with history, tradition, and the weight of what she has promised to protect. "I hereby transfer command of 2nd Battalion to Lieutenant Colonel Avery Brooks." The battalion is hers. She turns to face the assembled Marines, hundreds of faces looking up at her, some curious, some hopeful, some still processing the revelation that the private they watched get shoved to the floor is now their commanding officer. Avery does not give a long speech. That has never been her way. 12 days ago, I lay on the floor of the mess hall while a staff sergeant stood over me and told me I was nothing. 40 Marines watched. Not one of them helped. The formation is absolutely still. I do not blame them. I understand why they stayed silent. Fear is powerful. The instinct to protect yourself is strong. And when the people who are supposed to protect you are the ones causing harm, speaking up feels impossible. She pauses. That ends today. Her voice carries across the parade ground. From this moment forward, this battalion operates on one principle. We protect each other, not just from enemies outside the wire, from everything, from anyone, including ourselves. She looks out at the sea of faces. I will not ask you to trust me today. Trust is earned through actions, not ceremonies. Watch what I do. Judge me by my decisions. Hold me accountable when I fail. Her chin lifts. But know this. No Marine under my command will ever have to choose between their safety and their career. No Marine will be punished for telling the truth. And no Marine will ever lie on the ground while others stand by and watch. She lets the words settle. No one in this battalion has to be on the floor to make someone else feel powerful. Not anymore. Not ever again. Silence holds the parade ground. Then, from somewhere in the formation, a single voice. "Oorah!" Another joins it. Then another, then dozens. "Oorah!" The sound rolls across the parade ground like thunder. Marines who were silent for years finding their voices at last. Avery stands at attention, the battalion colors in her hands, and allows herself one small moment. Not satisfaction, not triumph. Just the quiet knowledge that something has begun. The aftermath unfolds over the following weeks. Nash's testimony leads to 23 additional arrests across 5 installations. Wentz's insurance folder exposes a corruption network reaching into the Pentagon itself. 3 colonels, 1 general, and a deputy undersecretary face investigation. Hayes accepts a plea agreement. His career ends. His pension is forfeit. His name becomes synonymous with failure of leadership. At Camp Lejeune, the changes are immediate and visible. Anonymous reporting channels open. Leadership training is restructured. The mess hall becomes something other than a place of fear. 1 month after taking command, Avery walks through the serving line during lunch. She picks up a tray, fills it with food, and looks for a place to sit. Every table has space for her. Marines call out, wave her over, invite her to join them. She sits with a group of junior enlisted. Privates and lance corporals who would never have spoken to a lieutenant colonel before. They talk about training, about families, about the small victories and frustrations of military life. Normal conversation, the kind that was impossible 6 weeks ago. That evening, Avery sits in her office reviewing the final reports. Her secure device buzzes. A new message. Same encryption, same unknown sender. She decrypts it. Phase 1 complete. Wentz was the transaction layer, Hayes was the compliance layer, but every operation has a strategic layer. Someone who sees the whole board. Avery's jaw tightens. The insurance folder exposed middle management. The person at the top never appears in photographs, never signs documents, never leaves traces. She scrolls down. Except one. A financial routing code in Wentz's oldest records. A code that traces back 17 years. To an operation that officially never existed. A file attachment follows. Transaction records. Payment flows. A web of corruption spanning 2 decades. And at the center, a single designation. Tower 4. The message continues. We have been hunting this network for 3 years. You exposed more in 2 weeks than we found in all that time. That makes you either an asset or a threat. A pause. The strategic layer knows your name now. They do not forgive. Watch your back, Colonel, and when you are ready to see the full picture, we will be in touch. The final line. Tower 4 sends regards. Again. Avery stares at the screen. 17 years. A network invisible even to those who hunted. A presence that watched her from the moment she arrived. And now they know she is coming. She saves the file, opens a secure channel, types a response. I am ready. Tell me everything. She sends the message into the digital void and waits. Outside her window, the lights of Camp Lejeune glow against the darkness. Marines go about their evening routines, unaware of the shadows that still lurk in high places. Layer 1 is gone. Layer 2 is exposed. Layer 3 is waiting. Avery picks up her pen and begins to write. Names, connections, questions that need answers. The investigation is far from over, but tonight, in this moment, there is something else that matters. A battalion learning to trust again. A mess hall where people eat without fear. A command built on protection instead of intimidation. Change, real change, the kind that starts small and grows. Avery sets down her pen and looks out the window. Tomorrow, she will follow the threads that lead to Tower 4. Tomorrow, the hunt continues. But tonight, she allows herself a moment of quiet. She came to find the truth about Thomas Riley. She found something larger, a conspiracy, a network, a shadow that stretches across decades. And she found something else too, a battalion worth fighting for. She will protect it, whatever comes next. The stars emerge one by one over Camp Lejeune. The base settles into nighttime rhythms. Somewhere, a bugle sounds, taps. And in her office, surrounded by evidence of crimes yet to be solved, Lieutenant Colonel Avery Brooks begins planning her next move. Justice does not rest. It does not forgive. It does not forget. Neither does she.
Every soldier carry a story that few ever hear. Listen with your heart. Thank you for staying and watching. Subscribe to MVB Story for more.